Okay, welcome to the Wednesday Team Prosperity Meeting. Today, what we want to do is we want to finish up a multi-week conversation about management. Remember, management is the most important thing that we can do if we're looking at stuff like building distribution, creating an exit strategy. We've got to have things in place that we've created that take the work forward. So it is almost the end of March. Well, it is last day of March today. The year is already flying by. So remember, in terms of your business, in terms of your goals, in terms of what you're trying to accomplish, number one, do not make those too far in the future. Yeah, you need like a 3-year plan and probably beyond, but really most of the business activity and most of the growth is going to come from constructed 90-day periods of time where you really are, dialed into your business and you're getting enough done during that quarter that can propel you to, great traction and velocity in terms of your business build out. We just finished week 11. We're coming up on week 12, which is the final week. And that's exactly what the 12-week year teaches us to do is break our goals down into 90 days, go at those very aggressively and understand, what to do. And almost as importantly, what not to do. So what's actually going to reach those goals and then do that. So if you're not participating in the 12-week year or your partners are not, and they ask you about it, just make sure that you understand it's based on 90-day cycles. It's based on getting the most you possibly can done in a day. And then over a 90-day cycle, mastering that process to really get what most people get done in 4 years in 1 calendar year. Last week, we kind of opened up a conversation about management, and that was on the backs of some other stuff that we started since the first of the year. But last week specifically, managing, developing people, education as a management style, helping partners reach goals through detailed plans, building a team of leaders, working with virtual teams, and the sweet spot for focus. So once again, all of this stuff is online. If your partners are looking for, series of ways to build their business, we try to pack as much as we can into 20, 30, 45 minutes as we possibly can. So this week, we want to continue and finish the management conversation. And really for me and my business, building this out, I try to get as much done on the front side, meaning preemptively overcoming obstacles like we talked about, preemptively getting rid of people that aren't going to be a good fit. All of this is going to make your business more efficient, more profitable, and more easy to replicate for success. One of the things that we have to do as managers, especially bringing in partners, as we sell that vision of what we're trying to do, and we're trying to bring in the right people to help create that vision, make it reality, expectations versus reality, because people are going to come in almost on a high. They're going to be excited about it. Yeah, that's great. But we also have to understand that they're envisioning this in their head, A to B, that quick, short route. This is going to be great. Super excited. Well, even plan B, a more jagged route, is not the realistic expectation. Anytime you start a business, anytime you build something from the ground floor up, it's going to look extremely messy. And so the expectation has to be set up for what this is really going to look like. We're in a lucrative industry. We have smart technology. This is a very, exponential opportunity, but it's not going to be a straight line A to B. It's going to be messy. There's going to be some problems along the way. You're not going to get, to certain metrics as fast as you'd hope. But ultimately, if you get from A to B, that's all that matters, because that end point is what we're looking for. The expectations that we set forth, you have to be upfront about, if somebody's coming out on a part-time basis, what this is going to look like to get it built out. You've got to be set up realistic expectations in terms of the money, in terms of the scope of what they're going to do, what we're going to do, and the quality. Remember, just working at something is not really good enough. You've got to bring a quality to your work, and you've got to have the undetermined vision to get better at what you do, to refine the process until it's, a well-oiled machine. That leads to good management practices, and really good management practices really start with, being real, being authentic, and just talking to people on a one-on-one basis to make sure you're not bringing in people on false pretenses. You're not setting people up for unrealistic expectations. You can start. Now, we don't have written contracts. Then we have a short onboarding enrollment process that we have, a setup process. However, there's really no one-on-one agreement. However, just because it's not written doesn't mean that it shouldn't be discussed. And when you're talking to people, especially on the front end, you have to make sure that they understand what, is their expectations of you. What are they expecting from me? And then what am I expecting from them? And then we have to come up with some type of an agreement. If you do your job and I do my job, we're both expecting this to happen. So remember, no one can live up to something if they don't even know what it is. So outline an agreement, outline something, some type of a commitment to each other getting started so you guys can fall back on that. And then periodically put that under review. How is the relationship going? How is the commitment from each side being handled? And if there's ways that, we can improve from the management side or they can improve, the ability to review this and have an open conversation about what is or what's not happening is very important. But remember, that starts with having an original agreement in place. As a manager, you want to come off and understand and explain what you're capable of doing to help them. Because remember, once somebody's seen the opportunity here, their next question is usually, who's going to help me get there? That's your job and that's your responsibility. You get paid to do that as you build out an office or multiple offices, but you don't want to get in the habit of trying to oversell yourself. Yes, you have skills. You've got, from a team level, we've got a lot to offer, but you want to set forth a foundation. If they can buy into that foundation, then usually by, under promising, building a foundation and then over delivering, that really sets people up for an even better experience than they thought they probably would have had. So always set expectations so you can meet and exceed them from the client side, from the partner side. Everything that you do is a good game plan right here. And then asking the right questions. Remember, the questions don't stop after the interview process. The questions continue to go on because ultimately what you're trying to accomplish through that first 60, 90-day period where you have a new hire is continue to build that confidence in their ability to do this, your ability to help manage them, the company's ability to help, get the mission, the vision driven into the marketplace in the correct way. But you got to continue to ask the right questions. How are things going? I understand we talked the other day, you were going to set up this. How did that work out? Because by asking questions, you're going to uncover information. Doesn't matter whether you're talking to some type of a prospect, a client, or an existing partner. Asking questions uncovers information that you can start to help solve problems. Everybody's different and everybody's got different communication styles. So part of being a manager is to effectively manage communication styles in the workplace. Now we're in a virtual workspace, but you have to understand we're all kind of wired in a similar way, but we're also kind of wired in a different way. And the things that motivate us or the things that, that we struggle with or that consider our strengths and weaknesses, that's all got to be taken into consideration. And everybody's not going to be able to be talked to in the same exact way. And part of being a brilliant manager is being able to communicate with people in their language, on their level, in their style. And you've got to review progress with people. When it's not just about bringing people in, just sending them out on their own and expecting something to happen. Just like we have an agreement and we review that agreement, we're also going to review the progress, because during that review of the progress or the lack of progress, we're going to uncover some stuff we can help out with. Now, if we're uncovering there's nothing being done from their side, we have to cut them loose at a certain point. But ultimately, through reviewing the progress of your partners, you're helping your partners get to those goals, get to those metrics, get past the learning curve a lot quicker. For us as managers, we want to have a to-do list, top 5 list, and we also want to instill that in other people. You have your calendar, which is concrete stuff that you need to have or be available for on that particular day at that particular time. You have your CRM full of prospects. You have your marketing tools, but you also have that to-do list. That's some stuff that you want to get accomplished. Don't make it too long. Block it off. What's the most important stuff? And then effective managers help people through the process of accomplishing tasks, teach other people how to do the exact same thing. To-do list is very important. Also, celebrate the small victories for yourself as a manager, for your partners coming in, because it's not going to be huge victories immediately. So what you have to do is stack those small victories up, even if it's just the first lead created, the first time that they've been able to do this, that, or the other. Make sure you take the time out to congratulate them and help them understand that you need to celebrate small victories in the beginning and teach other people how to do the same, because ultimately that's going to add to more enthusiasm, more confidence, and that equals over a period of time, accomplishing bigger tasks and bigger goals. As a manager, we're not in a corporate structure where our goal and our job is to rule with an iron fist and micromanage people. This is a partnership. It's got to be mutually beneficial. And part of that is getting to know people, because the more you get to know your partners, especially the ones that are actively working, trying to make this happen, the more you can understand kind of how to help them, what makes them tick, and how to communicate with them better. Explain everything that you're doing, especially in one-on-one situations. Don't assume because you learned this 6-9+ months ago that everybody else is at your level. And that's something that I think a lot of times as a manager that we struggle with, because we learned this so far back that we just breeze through it. You got it, good. Okay, let's go on to the next thing. Explain in detail, give them the chance to ask questions. Don't just leave it up to them, invite questions. Because the more that you are able to take the time, explain things, teach things, the easier it is going to be for them to digest it and take that same management style and replicate it. And you got to be fearlessly authentic. Don't come into management and think that people aren't going to be able to read through your falseness, your BS, whatever it is. You've got to be authentic. When you mess up, admit it and help other people learn from your mistakes as well. Don't just sit up on some chair or some throne and throw commands or actions or criticism down. Be part of it. Be in the trenches with everybody and help them learn from everybody as a unit. And then one of the other things that's very, very tough, especially when you first start to build a business, is you've got to learn to walk away from toxic people. Now, we implement and instill some filters on the front side, marketing, interviewing, a whole bunch of stuff that's designed to get rid of these people. But if they make their way into your organization, you've got to be able to identify that as soon as you possibly can and start to quarantine them and disconnect from them, because toxic people can just destroy your organization, destroy the mission, the vision, the enthusiasm towards what we're trying to accomplish. And then finally, you've got to really take the vision and the mission, and you've got to continue to connect those, because remember, I have a mission, I have a vision, you do too, the company does. So all of this stuff has to be interconnected and intertwined to make sure we continue to make sure that everybody understands how it's interconnected, because our vision shapes us. Our vision prepares us. That has to continue to be brought up and revisited on a continual basis. One of the other things that managers have to be able to do, and this is something that a lot of people don't like to discuss their weaknesses, but it's going to help them because they need to understand, okay, this is something that, yes, I can take on, or this is something I can't take on, because that's going to be part of the agreement and ongoing commitment to each other, is to help fill those voids, whatever they might be, for whatever capacity and whatever length of time that they might need it. So one of the things that we have to do as a manager is discuss, hey, what do you like to do? What do you think your strengths are? What are some things that you struggle with, so we can outline a business plan so we understand what they're going to do and what they need help doing. Also, as a manager, discuss how problems are going to be solved. Remember, don't continue to discuss and dwell on the problem. Talk about how solutions are going to come into your office and how solutions should come into their office when they take over. Also, frustration. You're not going to be doing anything or working towards anything worthwhile and think that you're not going to be frustrated along the process. So how do we deal with frustration? We don't keep it bottled up. We do air it out, but we do it in a healthy way that's going to allow us to come out of that meeting, whether it's one-on-one, group, whatever it might be, with a newfound, enthusiasm, motivation to overcome and get it done. And finally, a manager is always talking in win-win language. So remember, these aren't parasitic relationships we're building with partners or clients. Everybody that's coming across us, from the moment that we start to talk to them to the time that we finish with them as a client, set forth the partner on an independent office, it's win-win. It's mutually beneficial. You've got to continue to talk about that because that's what people are drawn to. They're drawn to managers that really feel they can help them get to their goals, which is going to accomplish the organizational goals. All of that we just talked about, you guys, starts at the very, very beginning of your conversations. And once you understand a partner persona, who you're trying to bring in, why, how you're going to bring those people in, becomes a lot easier to manage those people because it's exactly what you want in your organization. And that starts with the questions. You've always got to be asking questions out there, and you've got to bring people in that are actually going to be someone that you want to deal with and someone that you give a statistical possibility on the high side that they're going to be successful. So what are some of these questions? What do I need from a business partner? It's one of the questions that you've got to ask yourself because the ability to effectively manage people starts with what do I need from a business partner? If I'm talking to this person, what do I need them to bring into my organization? And are they capable of doing it? Number two, what's your potential partner's financial situation? If it's the 31st of the month and they don't have their rent or mortgage covered and they're in dire straits financially, that's going to cause them to be mentally not 100% involved in what's happening. So part of what we do is if somebody's in that situation, we talk to them from the standpoint and perspective that, hey, I can help you build something so you're not in this position going forward. But right now, you've got immediate financial concerns that you need to take care of. Once again, don't bring people in on false pretenses and understand sometimes the financial situation, if it's dire, is going to be so much in terms of a blockage to start this business, not the appropriate time. What are the potential partners' expectations on the time involved? I was talking to a potential partner the other day, and he gave me a commitment that was so low on the time. Conversation ended right there. I said, hey, if you want to see what the client experience is and you want to kind of understand, the debt to wealth system, whatever it is we're talking about, you have to set up the expectations. And if those expectations can't be met, then you shouldn't try to force somebody. If they're going to give you 3 hours a week and you need at least 10 to 15, guess what? The chance of that person being successful by you bringing them under false pretenses is next to zero. So what's the expectations? And are both of you guys on the same page? And then is your potential partner's commitment to the business as strong as yours? Guys, this is a great question because if you're dedicated to what you're trying to do, then you need other people that are going to be just as dedicated. So when I'm looking at somebody, when I'm talking to somebody, what's this person's motivation? What's their commitment? What's their track record been? If they had 8 jobs in the last 12 years, well, these are things that you have to evaluate because we are looking for commitment. Interest, just not enough. You got to be committed to this. Is there something in your potential partner's family life that might make a business a secondary interest? For example, somebody just had twins. Well, triplets. Guess what? That is a big life obligation now for the next, number of years until you get them independent, just like a partner. They're just, kids are going to come in. They're going to need a lot from you. Obviously, we all know that. But is there stuff going on in their life where it's just not going to be a point in time? It could be a good fit in terms of the quality of the hire, but it's a bad timing. And so you have to understand and maybe turn that, no in terms of the time period into a later. How would they handle a tough situation? I used to have a partner that would constantly bring me people always in tough situations, always leading with their problems. And so what happens is if you can't handle a tough situation right now, you're probably not going to be able to handle a tough situation going forward. And once again, is it the type of person that likes to dwell and talk about the problem constantly, or are they actively looking for solutions? Because if you can't handle problems, you cannot be an entrepreneur. If you can't, get your head straight and get out of some of these situations without it having just a total negative collapse of, everything that you're trying to do, then that person should not be an entrepreneur. What questions do they have for me? Don't bring people in and start, offering people a position in your inner circle, your company, your team, your organization without getting all the questions answered. You don't want those interview questions still being asked in the training. That's a bad sign that the interview wasn't completed properly. So make sure that you are, getting the questions answered, because a lot of times those questions will uncover some stuff that might be a make or break for the business relationship. Then are they willing to put in everything necessary to be successful? It goes back to the commitment, guys. A lot of people are interested in an end result, but they're not committed to seeing it through. Being or talking to somebody, interviewing somebody, you can get that feeling, hey, this person sees this and they want to win, and they're going to be dedicated. They're going to be committed to seeing this through, versus somebody who sees it, but they don't have a track record of commitment. And from what you're hearing, yeah, there's an interest, but there's not going to be that all-in mentality that you need. Do I really need this partner? And that's the end question. Do I really want to waste my time bringing this person in, training, supporting them, if I don't think they're going to be a good fit from the very start? Remember, you don't get paid to bring people in. You get paid to effectively manage and lead and create independent offices, creating distribution of products and services in the financial wellness segment and sector and industry. So at the end of the day, that's the question that I'm asking myself. I'm trying to evaluate, do I really need this person? If not, I can try to pivot over to the client side, but don't bring people in just to put a number on the board, guys. And then finally, what happens if we can't work it out? Is this person going to be bitter at me? You got to understand that, entrepreneurship, it's a roll of the dice. We feel strongly if somebody comes in and follows our lead and has activity, they're going to be successful. But if they're the type of person that's going to put forth no effort and then blame you because nothing happened, you need to get rid of that problem before it actually becomes a problem. And then what are you looking for? So ultimately, what you're looking for in partners is some characteristics. And when you're reading people, you want to know, does this person have passion? Are they going to bring passion to this industry, to this business, to their day-to-day activities? Because without passion, very little is going to get accomplished. Is this person reliable? So from those questions that we were just kind of asking, we get to know, does this person possess these characteristics or not? Because if they're not going to show up on time, for some initial appointments, initial training, what do you think is going to happen when they're responsible for managing people and other people are counting on them? It destroys people's confidence in a business going forward if their managers are not there. So reliability starts from day one. If they can't make an upfront appointment, that is a red flag leading indicator. What about compatibility? The ability to not only on a personal level, does this person is this person's personality connect with me? Do I talk their same language? Am I on their level? Are we getting along? Is there an ease of conversation, but also compatibility on the vision and the mission? Are they going to buy into what we're trying to do and be part of this? Next is the ability to build strong relationships. Remember, if you're out there selling your vision and then those people coming in are helping you create that to a reality, they have to be able to go out and do the same thing. So building strong relationships out in public is a key component and characteristic of a good partner. And then the ability to be creative. Remember, creativity is one of those possessions or skill sets that automation, AI can't replace. So is this person creative? They have a creative mind and a creative mindset. Then there's a lot of things in a business opportunity where we have a lot of tools and infrastructure. They can go out and put together some great things. Open-mindedness. So once again, are they humble to submit to what we're trying to do? Are they willing to go out there and continue to learn, educate, develop themselves? Because if not, might as well close that door right there, because the people have to have a desire to keep learning and keep getting better. And then are they comfortable with risk? Guys, remember, building a business from ground zero involves a lot of risk. When you hire people, some make it, some don't. There's a risky component to the time, energy, resource investment into people. They have to be comfortable, not with just random, risk, but calculated risk. Hey, we understand from our past experience, if you do this, you're expecting this. Comfortable with risk is a key characteristic of a good partner. And then resilience, your ability to manage somebody, if they're unresilient, if they can't bounce back, if they can't dust themselves off, they can't get up off the floor and continue on, doesn't matter how good of a manager you are, what you say, whatever you do on the backside, they're going to fail. So effectively managing people, like I said, starts with the opening conversation, starts with those questions that we ask ourselves and sometimes other people. And then it goes down to the characteristics that we're ultimately looking for that we can put our chips behind, that we think that we can form a mutually beneficial relationship. And finally, solutions based. And this is a big one for me. If you're going to dwell on the problem, I can't deal with you. I want to bring in people that are concentrating on the solution, solving the problem, and then be able to take that out into independent offices and replicate that same basis. So that is it for this week, the management part of our continuing, education series for our Wednesday team prosperity meetings. Next week, we're probably going to get into a hodgepodge of different stuff that I think that from what we're hearing from you guys that you're struggling with, and just pick off, those things individually one by one, because if you're struggling with them on an individual basis, probably other teammates are as well. So I appreciate you guys being on. If we can help with anything, please let us know.